When you think about farming, you might not think about real estate, but for a pig farmer, it's everything. How much space does a pig actually need? It sounds super simple, right? But it's this incredibly complex puzzle. You're trying to balance the animal's well-being with its health and, of course, the economics of getting food to all of our tables. So let's get into it and unpack the surprising science behind the perfect pig pen.
So what is that just right answer? The Goldilocks zone. How do you find a balance that's not just good for the pig, but one that actually works for the business? Well, to even start answering that, we need to get on the same page with the language farmers use to measure this stuff.
And the term you're going to hear over and over is stocking density. It's the key metric, the big one. It's basically just the pig-to-pen ratio. But here's the thing. While it's just a simple number, getting it wrong in either direction has absolutely massive consequences.
All right, so let's start with one side of this puzzle. What actually happens when that stocking density is too high, when pigs are basically living life in a permanent crowd?
Yeah, and this isn't just about being a little uncomfortable. Overcrowding kicks off this whole domino effect, a cascade of really negative things that hurt the pigs and, as you'll see, the farmer's bottom line.
What's really fascinating here is just how connected all of these problems are. Think about it. Not enough space means more fighting over stuff like food. That constant aggression causes stress, and stress weakens their immune systems. Now add in higher ammonia from all the waste and the fact that they're packed so close together, and you've basically created a perfect storm for disease to spread. It even affects the final product. Skin lesions from all that fighting can actually reduce the quality of the meat.
And we're not talking about a small problem here. You can actually put a number on the impact. Research shows that pigs in those overcrowded pens have growth rates that are 5 to 15% lower than pigs with enough room. So that number tells you something really important. What's bad for the pig is also really bad for business. It just makes the whole farm less efficient.
And this right here is a huge piece of the puzzle, a wild biological fact that explains why crowding is so bad for them. See, unlike us, pigs literally can't sweat to cool off. So when you pack them together, all that body heat gets trapped. It creates this intense heat stress, which is a major factor in that reduced growth we just talked about.
So the answer seems simple, right? Just give them tons of space. But as you can probably guess, it is not that easy. So now let's flip to the other side of the puzzle, the cost of all that comfort and the hard economics of running a farm.
So yeah, more space is obviously better for the pig's well-being, but it creates a huge economic headache for the farmer. I mean, every single square meter of a barn costs money to build, to heat, to cool, to maintain. Giving every pig a luxury suite is just not economically possible.
If the stocking density is too low, the farm's buildings are just sitting there, underused, and that drives up the cost to raise every single pig. And here's something you might not expect. While the pigs are healthier, they might also be more active, which means they're burning more energy, calories that could have been used for growth. So the farmer has to find that break-even point where the cost of the extra space doesn't end up being more than the benefit they get from it.
Okay, so we've got these two extremes, right? One is bad for the pig, and the other is bad for the business. The solution then has to be somewhere in the middle, a data-driven sweet spot that keeps everyone, pig and farmer, happy.
This chart just lays out the whole dilemma perfectly. Look at the left. High density, sure, you have lower building costs, but you pay for it with more stress, more disease, and less efficient growth. Now look at the right. Low density gives you much healthier pigs and more consistent growth, but the facility costs are way higher. The whole game is finding that perfect balance right in the middle.
And thankfully, we don't have to guess. Researchers have crunched all the numbers, and what they found is that the just right amount isn't one single answer. It's actually a moving target that changes as the pig gets bigger. It makes sense, right? A little wiener pig needs just a fraction of the space that a huge 120-kilogram finisher pig needs before it heads off to market.
And this is the number that really matters for a farmer's profitability. For those final stage finisher pigs, all the research points to this range, 0.75 to 1.0 square meters per pig. That's the sweet spot. If you go below that, their growth drops off a cliff. But if you go above it, the improvements are so tiny they just don't justify the cost. This is it. This is the data-driven sweet spot.
But wait, it gets even more complicated. The ideal density can actually change with the seasons. Remember how pigs can't sweat? Well, that means they need more space in the summer to avoid that dangerous heat stress. And get this, it also turns out that smaller groups of pigs are just better roommates. They tend to manage their shared space more effectively and with a lot less social drama. And all of this brings us to a really important point. Optimizing a pig farm isn't just about drawing up a floor plan. Now, it's about a whole system of smart strategies that work together.
So what if a farmer, for whatever reason, has to operate at a higher density? Well, there are still things they can do. Smart fixes. First, improving ventilation can help deal with all that heat and ammonia. Second, adding more feeders means less competition and less fighting. And even simple things like giving them toys or straw to play with can redirect all that energy away from bad habits like tail biting. It's about managing the entire environment, not just the square footage.
And this quote right here, I think this is the ultimate takeaway for understanding the business side of this puzzle. It's not just about raising the single biggest pig you can. It's about making the entire system, the entire barn, as efficient and as productive as it can possibly be.
So, next time you're in the grocery store, maybe you'll remember that behind that simple pack of bacon is this incredibly complex calculation of space, welfare, and economics. Knowing the kind of puzzle that farmers have to solve every single day, does it change how you see the food on your plate?